Karen had to go to the hospital the other day. As soon as she entered the building, she felt there was something wrong about that place. Walking along the corridor, she saw two nurses. Which nurse is fake? The one on the right. Look, her shoes are dirty and she barely knows how to hold a syringe. Stay away from her, Karen. Adam is a successful IT specialist who works 24/7 from home. He rarely goes anywhere, but a week ago, he decided to go on vacation. He packed his bags and left. A week later, when he came back, he instantly noticed there was someone in his apartment while he was away. Since he lives alone, he immediately called the police. Why? Before he left, there was a bin full of papers and candy wrappers. When he came back, the bin was empty. Adele just loves traveling and does it any time she can. She took some days off and headed to the airport to go to a new destination. That morning, there were only 4 flights. Paris, departing at 7 a.m., New York, departing at 7:30 a.m., Los Angeles, departing at 8:05 a.m., and Sydney, departing at 8:10 a.m. Where's Adele flying? To Sydney. Look at her suitcase. It has several stickers on it. A sticker with the Statue of Liberty means she's already been to New York. The one with the Eiffel Tower means she's traveled to Paris. And look at the I Love LA sticker. Hey, have a good time in Australia, Adele. Ryan owns a multi-billion-dollar corporation. It's been several months since he started searching for a new head of one of the departments, but he still hasn't found one. Looking through the new CVs his secretary left on his desk, he realized one candidate lied about their experience. Who was it? There are 3 CVs. Each of them has the candidate's age, work experience, and education. But how can someone born in 2000 have a PhD in economics? When Jessica came home from work, she noticed that someone stole an expensive painting from her bedroom, hanging right above the bed. She immediately called the police and explained what happened. She said she didn't touch anything in that room, and when she noticed the painting had been gone, she called them to investigate. The police arrested her on the spot. Why did they arrest her? Jessica said she hadn't touched anything, but the bed is perfectly made. If there had been a robbery, the bed would have been a mess. It wasn't possible to get the painting without stepping on it. A wicked troll caught Marge and locked her up in one of the rooms in his castle. He said it was impossible to get out of that room even though there were 3 exit doors. All of them were equipped with motion sensors. If Marge opens the first door, it'll start a mechanism that fills the room with toxic gas. If Marge opens the second door, it'll start another mechanism. A motion sensor will see the movement and a super heavy weight will fall down immediately. Behind the third door, there's a swarm of venomous mosquitoes no one can get through. Despite it all, Marge managed to escape. How did she do it? She tricked the motion sensor behind the second door into thinking it was her moving there. But in fact, she just threw her shoe in that room first, the heavy weight fell down, and Marge ran away without a shoe. You have 5 pencils. Green, blue, and orange ones are short. Red and yellow pencils are long. You need to arrange them in a special order. Long pencils are next to each other. The green pencil is between the orange and the red pencil. The pencils on the edges are of different sizes. The 4th pencil is short. The correct order is yellow, red, green, orange, blue. You work in a supermarket and need to arrange 3 boxes from lightest to heaviest. You know that the yellow box is heavier than the black one. 2 black boxes weigh the same as the yellow and pink boxes combined. Okay, this was pretty simple. First goes the pink box, the lightest one. Then you need to put the black box, and then the yellow one, the heaviest. Hey, you got to do weird things at work. Detective Hugh followed a criminal. Unfortunately, he didn't know what he looked like because the criminal would always wear a hood and large sunglasses. The detective knew exactly that he was hiding in one of the 3 houses in Maple Street. When Hugh came up to the first house and knocked on the door, a man opened the door and said he lived alone. He also said it had been several days since he last left home. He claimed he didn't know anything about that criminal. The detective inspected the house and instantly realized the man was lying. How did he understand it? There's an umbrella hidden behind the sofa. The umbrella is wet and there is a small puddle on the floor. This man is either the criminal or he's trying to hide one. Mike was driving back home in Chicago in winter when a blizzard started. The weather was awful, and Mike thought it would be safer to spend a night in a hotel and wait until it stopped snowing. The hotel was a bit iffy, but since it was for one night only, Mike thought it was okay. The next morning when he checked out and came up to his car, he noticed something was wrong and called the police. What was the problem? The car is covered with snow. It's okay since it's been snowing all night long, but the windshield is clean, which means someone must have taken his car. Simon grabbed a really nice muffin in the cafe and put it on his office desk. He wanted to save it for later and eat it at the coffee break. But when he came back from a meeting, he saw someone had eaten his muffin. There are only 3 people who could do that, and only one is telling the truth. Jack says it was Ashton. Ashton says he didn't eat anything. Tyler says he didn't eat anything either. Who ate the muffin? It was Tyler. Only one person is telling the truth, and it's Ashton. If Jack or Tyler told the truth, then it would be 2 people who were telling the truth. But Simon knew only one person wasn't lying. A vampire recently moved to a big city where nobody knew him to start a brand new life. Still, he just couldn't help it and started biting locals every single night. People got scared and asked Detective Ryan to help them out. A couple of days later, he already had 3 suspects. All of them recently moved to that city. Ryan visited all of the suspects, and he was sure he found the notorious vampire. Who is the vampire? Well, the man on the left has loads of garlic in the kitchen, and vampires can't stand it. The second suspect has lots of silver cutlery in the kitchen, and he doesn't mind eating with a silver fork. No vampire can do that. The guy in a hoodie is the vampire. Hey, looks like someone has to move again. A man went to a houseware store to grab something for his new apartment. If he grabs one good, it costs $1. If it's 13, it costs him $2. If it's 138, he'll pay $3. What did he buy? The goods he needed were the numbers for his apartment doors. He lives in apartment 138, so he bought 3 numbers for $1 each. A scientist created a robot, Jason, who looked exactly like a human. One day, Jason ran away from the scientist's house because he wanted to start a life on his own. Hey, maybe he could be roommates with that vampire. The police started looking for him immediately, but the scientist had no photo of Jason. They soon realized Jason was hiding in the swimming pool and went there to investigate. There were 4 men in the swimming pool claiming they had spent almost an hour swimming, and the police asked them to do one thing to prove they're not robots. This way, they found Jason in no time. What did they ask them to do? They asked them to show their hands. Those who had wrinkly fingers after swimming were real people. The one with smooth hands is a robot. Emily told her boss someone had stolen the report she prepared for the meeting. She also added that she had noticed someone come in wearing a hoodie to hide their face, a black tracksuit, and gloves. This person also had a ring with a large gem. The boss didn't believe her. Why? She said the person was wearing gloves. Then how did she see that ring then? Emily must have simply stained that report with coffee she drinks all the time.
Srows are flying in the sky, 1 ahead and 2 behind, 1 behind and 2 ahead, 1 between 2 and 3 in a row. Can you figure out the exact number of crows? 3. They're moving one after another. Barista needs to fill 2 sacks with coffee from another sack of a similar size. Can you figure out how to do it? Easy. Put the empty bags into one another and then fill them with coffee. 2 mothers and 2 daughters enter a coffee shop and order 3 cappuccinos. Each gets one. How's that possible? They are a grandmother, a daughter, and a granddaughter. Can you write a number that consists of 11 thousands, 11 hundreds, and 11 digits? Many people think it will be 111,111, but in fact, it's 12,111. Rachel's computer gets broken, but she has to do urgent work. So she decides to use her husband's laptop instead. But unfortunately, he has changed the password. Luckily, Rachel finds a note with a clue nearby, SBDIFM. She enters the code, but it doesn't work. Can you help her crack the password? To solve this puzzle, Rachel needs to change each letter with the previous letter in the alphabet. S implies R, B implies A, D should be replaced with C, and so on. And the final password is Rachel. Oh, so cute. Peter, Jenny, and Timothy are trapped in 3 separate cages. Peter's cell has an explosive in it. Jenny's cage is filled with toxic gas. And Timothy's cell is covered with ice. Can you guess who has more chances to survive? Timothy. It's just ice, so it's gonna be melting soon. Timothy won't have time to freeze. Yeah. Gerald is 100 years and a few months old, but he only had 25 birthdays in his entire life. How could this be? The man was born on February 29th, so his birthday only takes place once every 4 years. The police find out that several criminals are going to leave the city by train this morning. Security guards at the railway station detain 4 suspicious people and examine their baggage. Can you help them figure out who's innocent? This guy carries toothpaste without a toothbrush. Oh. A supposedly blind person carries a flashlight. Oh. And why would a bald man need a bottle of shampoo? Ooh. It seems only the guy on the left isn't a criminal. Birds sat one on each tree. One didn't have a place, But when they sat two on each, one tree was left free. Can you figure out the number of birds and trees? Four birds and three trees. A farmer has 350 oranges. The challenge is to divide them into 3 piles so that one pile would be 4 times smaller than the largest one, and another pile 2 times smaller than the largest one. How many apples would be in each pile? Zero. The farmer has 350 oranges, not apples. David invites his friends to spend a weekend at his house. They come along and have tons of fun. Unfortunately, a terrible storm starts the day before they have to leave. It's pouring with rain, and strong winds are breaking trees, tearing down power lines, and causing power outages all over the place. The next morning, the weather gets better. But David discovers that his gold watch is missing. It was a very expensive gift from his grandpa. David asks all his friends just one question. I can't find one thing that's very important to me. Can you tell me what you were doing yesterday? Monica says, I spent most of the day in my room studying. Mike says, I was practicing my electric guitar in the garage. And Mia says, I don't even know what your watch looks like. After hearing their answers, David knows for sure who's lying. Can you figure it out? There was a power outage. It means Mike couldn't play the electric guitar. Also, David said nothing about the important thing being a watch. So how did Mia know it? Therefore, Mike and Mia stole the watch. Can you create a square by moving just one matchstick? You need to think outside the box to crack this puzzle. Here's the solution. This square is tiny, but it still matches the task. Rob runs a restaurant. He has 4 barrels of excellent kombucha. He's saving them for the upcoming anniversary party, which will start in 24 hours. Rob enters the storage room and sees a note near the barrels. It says, I put a magic spell on one of the barrels. Anyone who drinks kombucha from it will turn into a mermaid in 10 hours. Good luck. Luckily, Rob has one friend, Shelly, who's dreaming to be a mermaid.
Yes!
Rob decides to test the kombucha on her before the party starts. Can you figure out a way to check 4 barrels in 24 hours? Rob should give Shelly kombucha from the first barrel right away. Then the second barrel's kombucha 1 hour later, and the third drink 2 hours later. If Shelly turns into a mermaid in 10 hours, it means that the first barrel is under the spell. If she changes in 11 hours, it's the second barrel to blame. And if she becomes a mermaid in 12 hours, it's the third barrel. But if Shelly stays the same, the fourth barrel is enchanted. A computer store manager calls the police and yells, "Help me! My store has been robbed!" The officers arrive at the place immediately, but they can't see anyone. Suddenly, they hear someone banging on the door in the corner of the store. They unlock it and see an anxious lady. It's the manager. Someone locked me in the storage room. It must be one of the shop assistants. The police officers ask the lady to call her employees for interrogation. The manager says, "Just a second, I can't find my phone." "Oh, it's over here." She didn't even start to call before the officers arrested her. Why? She was locked in the room, and the phone was lying on a counter. How could she call the police? Where does Friday actually come before Thursday? Take your time to think it over. Friday always comes before Thursday in the dictionary. Nina sneaks out of the house late in the evening to meet her secret boyfriend. She thinks that she's very careful and quiet, but all of Nina's roommates know about her plan. Also, they know that Nina will return at midnight. They decide to make a bet. The one who would notice Nina first, when she starts climbing the fence, would be the winner. This person would be free from chores for 1 month. To avoid falling asleep, Bella switches on her favorite series. Nora goes to the kitchen to make snacks for everyone. Wendy takes a seat in the living room with a book. And finally, Kelly goes to her bedroom and starts meditating. Who's going to be the first to spot Nina when the time comes? Kelly. Her eyes will be used to the darkness and she will see better than the others. Lily is a cool pastry chef. She's been working hard in the kitchen all night to create a special wedding cake. Finally, it's ready.
Yeah.
Lily puts it in the fridge and goes outdoors to take a break. 15 minutes later, she returns and nearly faints. Some monster had ruined her masterpiece. Lily questions 3 suspects. Diana, the barista, says, "I opened the fridge an hour ago to grab a new carton of soy milk. Your cake was fine." Paul, the bakery's manager, says, "I didn't touch the cake. I was talking on the phone with our clients." And Will, the janitor, says, "I entered the kitchen 5 minutes ago and noticed some chocolate on the floor near the fridge. I opened it and saw the broken cake, but it wasn't me." Who's lying? Diana. An hour ago, the cake wasn't finished yet, so she just couldn't see it in the fridge. Mary parks her car near her favorite store. Can you see anything weird here? Take a look at the reflection in the window. The color of her car doesn't match reality. A small town hosts a winter festival with an ice sculpture competition. The top 3 sculptures made it to the final. The party goes well and everyone has fun. Oh no, someone has sprinkled the sculptures with salt. They're losing their shape and falling apart. The local sheriff interrogates 3 suspects. Brian says, "I didn't do it, I was too busy building a snowman." Gemma says, "I was far from the sculptures taking selfies with my granny near the dining area. See for yourself if you don't believe me." And Dan says, "I believe it was Brian. The winning sculpture was created by his ex-girlfriend. They don't get along." After hearing what they had to say, the sheriff knows for sure who's guilty. What about you? Take a look at Gemma's selfies with Granny. There's a large salt shaker on the table in the first picture. And in the second selfie, the very same salt shaker is absent. It's hidden in Gemma's jacket pocket. She sneaked the salt and ruined the sculptures. Amy is visiting an unfamiliar city. She sees 4 magical creatures in this area and freaks out. Can you see them too? Take a look at this tree. It's a wood goblin. There's a transparent lizard crawling up the skyscraper. Also, there's a leprechaun hiding in the flower bushes. And there's a pixie driving this taxi. Diana returns home from work and discovers that someone had broken her antique teapot in the kitchen.
What?
She gets furious and interrogates 3 suspects. The housemaid says, "I was cleaning the second floor all day long. I didn't even enter the kitchen today." The gardener says, "I was picking lilies in the garden in the morning. I only entered the kitchen once to put fresh flowers in the vase. The teapot was fine." And the cook says, "I was preparing dinner in the kitchen. And then I went to the bathroom to take off my uniform. When I returned back to the kitchen, the teapot was already broken." Who is lying? The gardener. Take a look at the flowers in the vase. They don't look fresh at all. Bob used to be a farmer in another country. He kept chickens. Things were going well and he made good money. But then he bought a bigger farm in another country and moved there. Soon Bob got to know that floods are very frequent in this area. But he didn't give up and decided to breed ducks instead of chickens. Why? Ducks can swim, so floods aren't so dangerous for them. Here are 3 matches.
Oh, really?
Can you make a 6 out of them without breaking them into pieces? Who said the number has to be standard 6? The matches make a perfect Roman numeral 3. So all you have to do is bring the bottoms of the first two matches towards each other, and you've got a Roman numeral 6. You have 2 sand hourglasses, a 7-minute one and an 11-minute one. Using just these 2 sand hourglasses, how can you measure 15 minutes? Step 1. Start both hourglasses at the same moment. Step 2. Wait until the 7-minute hourglass times out. 7 minutes have passed. Let's move on to step 3. Restart the 7-minute hourglass. At this time, 11-minute hourglass will have 4 minutes left to time out. As soon as the 11-minute glass times out, invert the 7-minute hourglass. At this point, 11 minutes have passed. After inverting the 7-minute hourglass, it will now have 4 minutes left for timeout. After these 4 minutes are out, the total time will be 15 minutes.
Here we go! You just arrived home from a long day of work and tuned into the Riddle show on your TV. Take a look at this scene. Who do you think has the best chance at survival? The two guys look pretty stuck in there, but the woman on the right might have a chance. The rope looks a bit loose around her body. She could try to shake it off and then use her free hands to untie her ankles. Which one of these definitely isn't human? It's the guy on the left. If you look closely, you'll see that the skin around his eyes is green. Take a look at these 3 guys. Which one of them is going on a date tonight? It must be the guy in the middle. He's holding a chocolate box in the shape of a heart. It's wrapped with a bow and everything. Alice, Beth, Cece, and Diana are standing in line to get a new video game. Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. Cece is in front of 2 people, and Diana is standing in front of her. Can you say the exact order in which the girls are standing? Let's see, there are 4 of them. If Cece is standing in front of 2 people, and Diana is in front of her, then Diana is the first in line. Cece is the second one. Then Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. So the third person is Alice, and the last one is Beth. There are 10 students in the class. 6 of them learn French. Oui, oui. 7 of the students in the class learn Spanish. Olé! If every student learns at least one foreign language, how many students learn both French and Spanish? This is pretty simple math. 6 plus 7 equals 13. If there are only 10 students in the class, that means that 3 students are learning both French and Spanish. A police officer was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the criminal rushed toward a hospital and disappeared. When the police officer entered the building, he saw 3 people. One of them must be the robber, who had dressed up pretending to be a doctor. Can you tell who the criminal is? It's the girl on the left. Look at her shoes. They're dirty. She probably didn't have time to clean or change them. Theo was getting ready for a job interview when the lights in his apartment went off. He was in a rush and didn't have time to wait for the lights to come back on. He was almost ready. He only needed to put on his socks and boots. Theo had socks of 3 different colors: black, white, and gray. He didn't care what color his socks would be, but he needed 2 socks of the same color. How many socks should Theo take to make sure there would be at least 1 matching pair? He just needs 4 socks. Even if the first 3 socks are different colors, the 4th sock will probably be either black, white, or gray, matching one of the others. Devin takes showers every day, but on even days of the month, he takes a long bath. During 1 year's time, how many baths does he take? Well, let's see. Except for February, all months have 30 or 31 days. In each month, there are usually 15 even days. For starters, we should multiply 15 by 11, which gives us 165 days. If we count February as having 14 even days, then the total number of baths Devin takes in a year is 179. This is Allison, and one of these three men is her boyfriend. Can you tell who? It's the guy on the left. Look, they have matching tattoos. Bella landed in New York with a very ambitious career goal. But first thing she needed to do after arriving in the city was to find her apartment. There were many options to get from the airport to her apartment, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10, but a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. He said his plans had changed and he didn't need his bus ticket anymore. He offered to sell it to her for $6. Bella agreed and gave him the money, but it turned out to be a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. The ticket the man sold Bella expired over a month ago. Finally, Bella managed to arrive in Manhattan and find her apartment. She was sharing a house with 3 other women. Bella introduced herself to them and went to settle in her room. She left her belongings on her bed and went to take a shower. When she stepped out of the shower, Bella noticed that her laptop was missing.
Oh no!
She got furious and decided to interrogate all of her new roommates. Sarah said she had gone out to get a cup of coffee. She even told Bella to ask the doorman of their building since he had seen her leave. Kelly said that she had taken an afternoon nap with her headphones on. She said she hadn't heard or seen anything strange going on inside the apartment. Shannon said that she had gone to the building's rooftop to take some pictures of the city, since she was a professional photographer. Can you tell who's lying here? It's Shannon.
Uh-oh.
If you notice the sign on the lobby, the building strictly prohibits people from accessing the rooftop. Henry was backpacking through Italy by himself. One evening, around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant, only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer was saying that he had ordered tomato soup, while the waiter was saying that he had only ordered a hot chocolate. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing. Hey, who am I to judge? Dave, an archaeologist, traveled to Egypt on a very special mission. He spent days excavating ruins hidden under miles of sand, and the only thing he found was a coin marked 10 BCE. When he showed it to his colleagues, they told him the coin was a fake. Why? Well, because the designation BCE didn't appear until the beginning of our era. Take a look at this image. Can you figure out which doctor is fake? It's the guy on the left. He's got headphones wrapped around his neck. Something's not right there. Harry and Terry's girlfriends went away on a business trip for the weekend. During the whole time, the couples were texting and sending each other pictures. On Sunday morning, both girlfriends asked their boyfriends to send a selfie of where they were. Harry sent a selfie smiling inside the kitchen. Terry sent a selfie of himself in the bathroom. One of the girls knew immediately that their boyfriend was cheating. Who was the cheater, and how did the girlfriend know? It was Harry. Look at the lipstick mark on the glass on the top of the kitchen counter. Uh-oh. Well, you're a private detective. You work in a city inhabited by people and magical creatures. You're going to have a rough night. The full moon is coming. It's the time when people and monsters go crazy. Like any detective, you write down your guesses in a diary so that you can summarize the results later. It's afternoon now. You're sitting in your office. Lightning strikes in the sky and someone knocks on the door at the same time. A pale woman enters the room and asks for help. You notice a bracelet on her arm. Her zombie brother is accused of stealing some jewelry, but she's sure he is not guilty. She asks you to prove it. You arrive at the store. On a broken display case where the jewelry used to be, you notice fingerprints. There are 3 suspects: a werewolf, an elf, and a zombie. Which of them is the thief? The elf. The zombie has skeleton hands, and the werewolf has hairy paws. Only the elf could leave human-like fingerprints. You drive through the streets and see a group of suspicious people standing by the riverbank. You stop and get out of the car. The people notice you and sprint in the opposite direction. You run after them on the sand along the water, but can't catch up. You look around but don't see anyone. Then you figure out it was your hallucination triggered by long sleepless nights. How did you figure that out? You ran after these people on the sand, but you can only see the footprints of your boots. You're walking back to the car and hear some screams coming from the water. A woman is calling for help. You run into the river and swim toward the drowning woman. But when you approach her, you see 3 people. They're all screaming, but only one of them is a real human and needs help. The rest are mermaids who want to lure you to their kingdom. How can you find out who the real woman is? Dive and check who has a fishtail. You save the woman and go to the car. It starts raining. You don't want to catch a cold, so you decide to change your clothes in your apartment. But suddenly, you hear someone scream for help outside. You run out of the apartment and forget to lock the door. A woman is crying in the street. She's standing near the road. In the distance, you can see a car leaving at high speed. The woman says her new car has just been stolen. You get into your vehicle and start chasing the criminal. The suspect gets out of the car and runs toward an abandoned house. He climbs over the fence and disappears inside. You go there after him. In a small hall, 5 zombies are walking in different directions. But zombies don't drive cars. One of them is the thief pretending to be a zombie. Who is it exactly? Zombies don't sweat, but one of the creatures you see is covered with sweat. That's because it's the criminal who has been running away from you. You walk through the streets. There's a warning on a post about lizard people charging at the inhabitants of the city. You remember investigating this case, but you couldn't find these reptiles. Now you need to go to the park. For several days, a large werewolf has been scaring the residents there. You know that the werewolf has a wife, and she is the only person who can calm the monster down and help him return to his human form. You have found 3 girls. Each of them might be the werewolf's wife you're looking for. You ask his wife to approach him, but none of the girls admits she's the one you need. So you have to make your own choice. Do you see some wool on this girl's clothes? It's the wolf's fur, which means she's the wife. She walks up to the monster, hugs it, and the werewolf turns into a human. You're hungry. You drop by a pizzeria. The owner of the restaurant says that someone has taken all his weekly earnings from the safe. The thief wore gloves and left no fingerprints. The video cameras were turned off. You know this pizzeria has had several similar incidents over the past year. Every time, the insurance company paid the owner the entire amount that had been stolen. You're sure the owner took his own money to use the insurance again. Take a look at the office and prove that the owner is guilty. Look at the air vent. Behind the grated hatch, you can see the bundles of the stolen money you've been looking for. There's a long night ahead, and you're feeling sleepy. You go to a small cafe to get a coffee. You give the money to the saleswoman and take the cup with the drink. You take a sip and realize the woman is in danger right now. How do you know that? "Help me" is written on the cup she's just given you. You decide not to leave the cafe and sit down at the table. You can see a man in a black raincoat and hood sitting at the other end of the room. The girl behind the cash register is looking at him wearily. You look at this visitor for a few seconds and realize he's a vampire. What makes you think that? It's night outside. You can see your reflection in the window. The hooded man is sitting by the window too, but isn't reflected in it. He's a vampire. The coffee has cheered you up a little. You're walking along the street, lost in thought. That's why you don't notice an open maintenance hole in front of you. You fall and find yourself in a dark sewer. Phew! Fortunately, you're not hurt. Shh! You can hear some noise at a distance. You turn on your flashlight and slowly walk forward. Soon, you come across a cage with several people inside. They say a mad scientist caught them and put them in this cage to conduct experiments. You need to free the prisoners. But where can you find the key? Carefully inspect the laboratory. One of the jars with chemicals standing on the shelf has a key inside. You take it out and are about to open the cage, but the scientist returns. He tells you not to do this. The people inside are actually mutant lizards. The scientist admits that he accidentally turned regular crocodiles into humans. The scientist managed to catch these monsters and put them in this cage. He's going to turn them back into reptiles and let them go. The prisoners say they are humans, and the scientist lies. Who do you believe? You decide not to open the cage. Inside, next to the people, you can see pieces of faded skin and scales. Snakes and other reptiles shed during molting. You believe the scientist, and he promises that he will soon fix everything. You're back in the street. It's as dirty and uncomfortable here as in the sewer. Nearby, a bolt of lightning strikes something. You hear someone screaming and run there. A multi-story building is on fire. An old lady is crying. She's left her cat in the apartment. Firefighters may not be able to save it, so you decide to do it yourself. You go up to the top floor using an old fire escape. It collapses behind you. Fortunately, you manage to jump into the window. You're in the old lady's apartment. Several floors lead to different rooms. You don't have time to check each of them. The fire is getting closer. Where is the cat? That door is scratched at the bottom. Those are claw marks. The cat must be there. You open the door and see a big black cougar. The fire is everywhere, and you can't go out through the main entrance. There is a window leading to the backyard and a fire escape. Where will you go? The fire escape collapsed when you were trying to get into the apartment. In the window, you see the tree. It has stopped raining, but it's already morning. Tired, you reach your apartment. You turn the key, open the door, go inside, and realize that someone is here. How have you found out? You were in a hurry and forgot to lock the apartment door while leaving. Someone got in and locked the door from the inside, and you had to use the key to open it. You see a human silhouette standing in the shadows and realize that you know this person. Who is it? It's the woman who asked you to help her brother. She was wearing a red bracelet. The silhouette has the same accessory. I came here to thank you in person. The door was open, but you weren't at home, the woman says. She asked, how many puzzles have you solved tonight? You realize it's time to look at what you've got. 0 to 3 points. It's too early for you to go out to patrol the streets of a dangerous city and help people. You need more experience. Practice and solve more logical puzzles. 4 to 8 points. Not bad. You've solved more than half of your cases. The city is grateful for that. 9 to 11 points. You're one of the best detectives in this city. Every day you help people, but you feel that you can do better. 12 to 14 points. The sirens of police cars, screams, suspicious faces in dark alleys. You can't live without it, and the city can't live without you. Penny was alone in a hotel room. All of a sudden, somebody knocked on the door and a man came into the room. But when he saw Penny, he apologized and said he must have entered the wrong room. As soon as he went out, Penny called the police. Why? Penny thought something was wrong because the man knocked on the door before entering. If he really believed it was his room, he wouldn't have knocked. He must have done it to check if there was someone in the room. 4 people are sitting at a table next to you in a cafe. There's a man, Jason, and 3 women, Rosie, Sarah, and Claire. Can you guess which woman is his wife? Even though Sarah's wearing an outfit that looks very much like the one Jason's wearing, she's not his wife. She doesn't have a ring. Claire has no ring either, but Rosie has a matching one. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. In order to stop it from happening, he needs to know the month the heist is planned for. Later, the police managed to find a clue. It was a note with a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? The detective cracked the code almost immediately. A jar in the picture stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. Ah, June! There are 12 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. The other day, Annabelle was rummaging around her auntie's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it could be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost $5 for each silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Annabelle could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. But she was really smart, so she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains together, which cost her $20. One day, Stephanie got lost in the woods, and no wonder, in the end she stumbled upon an old witch's house. The door cracked open and she came in. The witch turned out to be really kind and promised Stephanie to make her one dream come true if she cracks a riddle. Stephanie was dreaming of a new phone, so she agreed. The witch asked, "If 11 plus 3 equals 2, what does 8 plus 6 equal?" It took Stephanie quite a while to come up with an answer, but she nailed it. What was the answer? "11 plus 3 equals 2 o'clock. 8 plus 6 equals 2 o'clock too." Hop on the bright side of life together with our brand new tees, hoodies, and more. Click the link to pick your choice. You're getting hungry and want to boil a 2-minute egg. If you only have a 3-minute hourglass timer, a 4-minute hourglass timer, and a 5-minute hourglass timer, how can you boil the egg for only 2 minutes? When you see the water boiling, turn the 3-minute timer and 5-minute timer over. When the 3-minute timer runs out, you need to put the egg in the boiling water. You'll have 2 minutes on the 5-minute hourglass timer, and when it finishes, take the egg out of the water and enjoy your meal. Mr. Wright had a small store in Chicago called 5 Flags, but there were 6 flags hanging outside. He could easily correct that mistake, but he didn't. Can you figure out the reason? At first, it was just a mistake, but later Mr. Wright noticed that people would often come to his store to tell about that problem, which increased his sales. A wise king realized he was tired of all the hard work he had to do, so he decided to find someone who could replace him. He decided to make a challenge, and the one who nails it will become the new king. Anyone who wanted to take the throne needed to put a whole cucumber into a glass bottle without cutting the cucumber or damaging the bottle. The participants had a week to do it. This challenge seemed to be impossible, so only 5 people decided to take part, and there was only one winner. How did he put the cucumber in the bottle? He placed a baby cucumber still on its stem into the bottle. Cucumbers grow rather fast, so he had enough time to win that competition. If it's raining at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it'll be sunny? Nope, in 72 hours it's going to be night again. You see a bathtub filled with water. You have a spoon, a cup, and a bucket. Which will you choose to empty the bathtub? Obviously, choose to pull out the plug. Allison majored in math at university. Her roommates wanted to test her intelligence. They took 3 envelopes and wrote short messages on them. Then they put the answers to Allison's exam questions in one of the envelopes. Only one envelope had a truthful message written on it. The other 2 were false. Allison wasn't allowed to open the envelopes and could only pick one. The first message read, "There are no exam answers here." The second was, "The exam answers are here." And the third message read, "The exam answers aren't in the second envelope." Which envelope should Allison pick? The third one. It tells the truth, which means the exam answers are in the first envelope. Joanna and Josh were on their honeymoon in France. On the first day, they went on a city tour around Paris and left all their stuff in the hotel room. When they came back, someone was standing outside their door trying to get in. The couple called the receptionist right away, but the man claimed Joanna and Josh owed him some money for the tours they had taken in the past 4 days. The receptionist knew the man was lying right away. How did he figure it out? It was the couple's first day in the hotel. Russell and Anna were on vacation. One day, Anna told Russell she couldn't go to the beach with him because she was feeling unwell. When Russell came back to the room to grab his phone, Anna was gone. He found her by the pool and asked, "Are you here alone?" She nodded, but Russell immediately realized she was lying. How? There were 2 soda pops on her table and 2 fruit platters. Apparently, this was also going to be Russell and Anna's last vacation together. Gregory was on a mission to take some nature photos for his blog. As he was walking through the forest, he fell into a deep pit. He tried to climb out of it, but in vain. When he held onto one rock, it gave away, and water started to pour inside. The pit was filling fast. Gregory saw a deflated ball, an empty barrel, and a piece of wooden board. What should he use to get out of the pit? Well, the deflated ball is too small and has a slit in its side. The wooden board won't support his weight. The best option is the empty barrel. It'll keep Gregory afloat. Paul and Pauline left for their honeymoon and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the woman found out that she had lost all her expensive jewelry because of a power outage. The woman had hidden her jewelry in a supposed safe place. The house wasn't robbed. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry got lost by accident. What happened? The wife had hid her jewelry in the freezer in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, all the food spoiled. The kind-hearted neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food, together with the jewelry. There's a barrel of water in the yard. You look inside and say that it's more than half full, but your friend argues it's less than half full. How can you figure out who's right without using any measuring tools or removing water from the barrel? Tilt the barrel so that the water touches its rim. If you can see the bottom, the barrel's less than half full. If the bottom is still covered with water, it's more. Mark, Jim, and Bob work as managers in the same office. One day, one of them is fired, and one gets a promotion. The remaining manager wants to resign at first, but then changes his mind. You know that the one who's fired is older than the rest and single. Jim's younger than the manager who has decided to stay at work, and he doesn't know Bob's wife. Who's fired? It's not Jim because he's younger than the manager who stays. It's also not Bob because he's married. It means that Mark has been fired, Jim has got a promotion, and Bob has decided to stay in his position.
Get ready for a tough but very fun riddles competition. Take whatever helps you activate your logical skills. A magnifying glass, a deerstalker hat, or a notebook. And let's get rolling. Let's warm up with some easy stuff. Can you find a vampire among these emojis? Here it is. Ugh, creepy. How about this crowd of people? Can you spot a vampire hiding among them? It is this girl. Look at how sharp her teeth are. And one more riddle for you. Which of these people is a vampire? See those fang marks on the neck of that guy? He was bitten and has already turned into a vampire himself. Stephen was found unconscious in his living room on a Sunday evening. Someone had hit him on the head. The man was rushed to a hospital while the police started questioning the suspects. There were 3 of them: Stephen's ex-wife, his neighbor, and his younger brother. Stephen's ex-wife said she'd been walking in the park with her little niece all day. Stephen's neighbor said she'd wanted to go on a date with her boyfriend, but since it had been raining heavily, they decided to stay at home. And Stephen's younger brother said he'd been at work, finishing a large project. It was so important he had to work even on weekends. The police figured out who the attacker was quite fast. Can you do the same? It was Steven's ex-wife. It had been raining heavily all day long. Who would walk in the park with a little kid in such weather? A criminal has kidnapped your friend and tied him to a tree. A huge, vicious dog is guarding this tree. You need to save your friend at night. But when you come to that place, you only have one piece of meat with you. It's not big enough to distract the dog for the 3 minutes you need to cut the ropes and help your friend escape. How can you solve this problem? Cut the meat into small pieces and throw them all over the garden. And while the dog is distracted, set your friend free. One day, Amy went on a date with her boyfriend Joe to a nice restaurant. Joe gave her flowers and candy. They had a great meal and enjoyed the date. But in the morning, Amy woke up with a severe allergic reaction. She went to the hospital, where she was told that she had been poisoned. But to figure out what antidote Amy needed, it was crucial to understand the source of the poison. The detective invited to investigate the case questioned everyone who could poison the girl, her boyfriend, the cook, and Amy's friend Cindy. Joe said that they'd eaten the same food in the restaurant. The cook said that he had brought Amy her pizza, and it had been freshly made. And Cindy said she thought Amy's boyfriend had poisoned her. She added that he had asked her what flowers Amy liked to gain Amy's trust. Have you realized who poisoned the girl? It was Cindy. Have you noticed the book on her table? It was about poisonous flowers. She advised Joe to give Amy flowers that would cause health problems. One company organized a betting game where one red and one blue marble were placed in a dark box. If a player picked the blue marble, the company had to pay them $5,000. But if the player guessed it wrong, they had to pay the company $100. The company cheated by always putting in the box 2 red marbles instead of 1 red and 1 blue, but no one could prove it. Mark was observing people lose one after another. Then he took part in the game and won. How did he do it? The man picked a marble and quickly put it in his mouth without showing the thing to anyone else. The remaining marble was red. According to the rules, it meant that Mark's marble was blue. The company had to pay him the money. Now, you need to pay attention to every little detail. Can you figure out whose dog it is? Look at that guy wearing a red jacket. See that leash he's holding? It matches the dog's collar, so most likely he's the owner. This parrot has managed to sneak away from its owner, and now the vet is looking for them. Can you say whose bird this is? The owner is that woman sitting on the couch. There's a cage behind her. Another waiting room at the vet. And whose Sphinx cat is this cutie? See that guy waiting for the doctor to bring back his pet? He's surrounded by lots of furry animals and can't stop sneezing. He must be allergic to fur. That's why he got himself a Sphinx kitty. And whose horse is this? See that girl standing in line? She's the only one wearing riding boots. She must be the owner. These kids seem to be terrified. No wonder. See that white rat darting around the classroom? Who does it belong to? It's that girl who's checking her backpack. You can see a cage and some rodent food inside. Oh, look at this cutie. What do you think? Who does this mini pig belong to? This guy is the owner. His outfit matches the scarf the pig is wearing. How sweet is that? And whose hedgehog is this? This lady is the owner. She's wearing special gloves to handle the animal.
Yes!
And who does this absolutely adorable pug belong to? Its owner is this guy. If you look attentively, you'll notice a pug tattoo on his leg. Lily came home and saw her favorite vase shattered. Extremely upset, she exclaimed, "What's happened to my vase?" Her husband Sam explained that around lunchtime, he heard a loud crash from their bedroom. He rushed there and saw that Lily's expensive vase had been broken and a robber was running away. Sam followed the man outside, but his glasses got foggy because of the cold weather. That's why he missed the man. Lily called the police, but after police officers heard the whole story, they refused to investigate this case. Why? Glasses fog up when you enter a warm place, not vice versa. Sam invented the story because he was afraid to admit he had been the one to break the vase.
Oh.
Emma's husband Liam knew his wife had been dreaming of going to an archaeological site. One day, she told him about the perfect opportunity. There was a remote site ready to be excavated, but there was no internet or network connection there. She would have to camp in a tent with almost no modern conveniences. But since she was really excited about this trip, Liam was ready to wait for her at home. 2 days later, Liam received a message and a photo from Emma. The man got furious. He realized Emma had been lying about the whole thing. How did he understand it? Before leaving, Emma told her husband there was no internet connection or cell phone reception there. Then how did she manage to send him the photo? Several bank workers visited a canteen in their office building. Since it was the Riddle day, Matthew, Isaac, and Wyatt were served tea, and Hunter, Christian, and Nathan drank coffee. What drink did Aaron get? Aaron drank tea simply because of his double-letter name. A man with a bandage around his head came to a police station. I was hitchhiking when a car stopped. The driver asked me to check if one of the tires was flat. I bent over to look, and he hit me on the head. When I regained consciousness, I found out he had taken all my money and smartphone. I only remember that the guy had a big car, large eyebrows, and a mustache. Soon the police had a suspect. They found him in a cafe, but this man said it couldn't be him. He changed the tires on his car 2 weeks ago. And since then, the car had been parked near the cafe. But the detective realized the man was lying right away. How? There's a no parking sign near the cafe. No car could be staying there for 2 weeks. Isabella is standing behind Mia. But at the same time, Mia is also standing behind Isabella. How is it possible? The girls are standing with their backs turned toward each other. Mrs. Red was a big boss in a large company. Recently, she hired a few new employees. One day, her assistant was filling out their documents and found something strange.
What?
She informed Mrs. Red that one of the new employees seemed to have fake documents. But the boss was in a hurry and told the assistant that she'd have a look at the papers the next day.
Yeah.
But the next day, Mrs. Red found out that her assistant was in a hospital, unconscious.
Oh my god.
Someone had attacked her on her way to work. Mrs. Red hurried to check the new employee's documents, look at them and try to figure out which ID is fake. This ID card claims that Edward is 34 years old, but the man using this document is way older.
Oh.
It was an extremely hot day. Police Officer Black was driving along a countryside road. Suddenly, he noticed a hitchhiker on the side of the road and stopped to give him a ride. The man explained that he had been waiting for someone to pick him up for more than 2 hours and offered the officer some ice cream. Black refused and asked the guy about a gang of criminals who had just robbed a jewelry store. The hitchhiker exclaimed, "I've just seen a red car speeding past me. Must have been the robbers, but they were driving in the opposite direction. We'll need to turn back." Black didn't believe him and took him to the police station. How did the police officer guess the hitchhiker was a criminal? If the hitchhiker had indeed been standing on the side of the road for 2 hours, the ice cream would have already melted. So, he lied to lead Black the wrong way. Oliver has in mind one of 3 numbers: 1, 2, or 3. Charlotte is allowed to ask him just one question to figure out which number it is. Oliver can answer her question only with no, yes, and I can't say. Which question should Charlotte ask? She can say, I have the number 1 or 2 in mind. Is your number larger than my number? If Oliver answers yes, it means he's chosen 3. If he answers, I can't say, the number he has in mind is 2. And if he says no, his number is 1. Several people were asked to step over a pencil lying on the floor, but none of them managed to do it. Why? The pencil was placed near the wall. Who doesn't like rebus puzzles? They're fun, and I've got a few tricky ones for you. Enjoy! What does it mean? It's misunderstood. Try to crack this one. So we see pot and 8 O's. Together, they make potatoes. And how about this one? That's high five. A small hint. The arrangement of these letters is important. This rebus means, hurry up! And one more puzzle for you. What could it mean? It's a friend in need. A hungry vampire is following you on a deserted street one dark night. Suddenly, you see a house with its door open and hide there. The vampire can't enter your shelter, but is patiently waiting outside. However, you still have some hope. There are 3 tunnels leading out of the house. But inside the first tunnel, there is molten lava. The walls of the second tunnel keep closing every 10 seconds, crushing everything that gets inside. And the floorboards of the third tunnel collapse every 5 seconds, sending everything lying on them into an abyss. What should you do? Just wait till the morning. Vampires can't stand daylight, and your pursuer will have to leave you alone.
Yes!
Eric was deeply in love with Carrie, and he finally decided to ask her out. He wanted to make it romantic, so instead of texting her, he decided to write his invitation with chalk on the sidewalk right outside her window. It read, Carrie, I'll be waiting for you in the restaurant Star tomorrow at 7 p.m. sharp. Carrie was also in love with Eric, and she would have come there with pleasure. Still, she never showed up. Why? Thing is, the rain started, and the invitation was washed away. Carrie simply didn't see it. I hope they work things out. Allison got lost in a forest and stumbled upon an old house. When she entered it, she saw a witch. She wasn't evil, though, so she said she could help Allison find a way home if she cracked a riddle. The witch asked Allison, "What kind of room can you neither enter nor leave?" Allison was smart, so she gave the right answer. Can you crack it too? I told you the witch wasn't evil. She even gave a small hint. Do you see a mushroom in her hand? Right, the answer is mushroom. A detective got an anonymous email about an upcoming heist in one of New York's museums. To stop it from happening, he needs to know the month the heist is planned for. Later, the police managed to find a clue. It was a note with a secret code. The police couldn't crack it, so they brought it to the detective. What month is the heist planned for? The detective cracked the code almost immediately. A jar in the picture stands for J, a ukulele stands for U, a nugget stands for N, and an eggplant stands for E. Ah, June. There are 70 floors in the apartment building. The higher the floor, the more people live there. Which floor does the elevator go to most often? It's the first floor. The residents of all floors go down to the first floor. A luxurious spa center got an anonymous call. Someone called to report a lady that's planning to steal expensive jewelry from the spa center visitors. The staff went to look for that lady to escort her out. Can you find her? Look, there's a lady having a pedicure. She doesn't look suspicious, but she's the only one who's not wearing a special bracelet. Security! The other day, Kelly was rummaging around her auntie's attic when she accidentally stumbled upon 5 short chains, each made of 4 silver links. She thought it could be great if she combined them all into one big chain of 20 links. When she went back to town, she brought those tiny chains to a jeweler. He told her it would cost $5 for each silver link that he would have to break and then reseal. How much will the chain cost? Kelly could do that for $25 if she told the jeweler to break a link in each chain. But she was really smart, so she asked the jeweler to break all 4 links in one chain and use them to attach the other chains, which cost her $20. A wise king decided to find someone who could replace him. He wanted to make a challenge, and the one who nailed it would become the new king. Anyone who wanted to take the throne needed to put a whole cucumber into a glass bottle without cutting the cucumber or damaging the bottle. The participants had a week to do it. This challenge seemed to be impossible, so only 5 people decided to take part, and there was only one winner. How did he put the cucumber in the bottle? He placed a baby cucumber, still on its stem, into the bottle. Cucumbers grow rather fast, so he had enough time to win that competition. And now he's king. They set the bar kinda low, didn't they? Joanna and Josh were on their honeymoon in Italy. On the first day, they went on a city tour around Venice and left all their stuff in the hotel room. When they came back, someone was standing outside their door trying to get in. The couple called the receptionist right away, but the man claimed Joanna and Josh owed him some money for the tours they'd taken in the past 4 days. The reception knew the man was lying right away. How did he figure it out? It was the couple's first day in the hotel. There's a barrel of water in the yard. You look inside and say that it's more than half full, but your friend argues that it's less than half full. How can you figure out who's right without using any measuring tools or removing water from the barrel? Tilt the barrel so that the water touches its rim. If you can see the bottom, the barrel's less than half full. If the bottom is still covered with water, it's more. 2 couples are about to get married. The hall is full of guests. The brides look stunning in these long white gowns, and the grooms seem to be completely happy. All of a sudden, one of the guests notices there's something wrong with one of the couples. Can you guess what? Look at this couple. These folks have no reflection at all. They must be vampires. In one of the galaxies, there's Planet Pink. There are many people, but few animals. Only hens and roosters live there. They can be of 3 different colors: pink, red, and yellow. Andrew went to that planet to see his friends for the weekend, and while he was walking down the street, he saw 3 bird couples in love. No bird can be with a partner of the same color. Can you guess the color of the partner of the red hen? It's the yellow rooster. The red hen can't go out with the red one, and the pink rooster, as you see, is madly in love with the yellow hen. Emily's aunt has bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Sadly, she couldn't keep it, because Helga, her sister, is terribly allergic to perfumes. Emily brought it back to her aunt, who bought it for $65. The old lady sold it to someone for $80. Then, she suddenly remembered she had one more niece, so she got it back for $70. Sally, the forgotten niece, turned out to be allergic too, so the auntie had to sell it again for $60. Did she make any profit? Yep, she made $5 and grabbed a frappuccino for the same amount. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet in the wall. There are no windows in the room, and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? This one was simple. You just need to turn the faucet off. Sally works as a barista. She's the one who served Emily's aunt with that frappuccino. This morning, she dropped a cup full of coffee. Luckily, her white shirt wasn't stained, but it took her a while to clean up the mess. How come? There were coffee beans in the cup. They ended up right under the counter. After the bank had been robbed, the police found the money in the park among cacti. The police officers arrested all the suspects, and they almost immediately figured out who the bank robber was. Can you do the same in 10 seconds? This guy on the left has scratches left by cacti all over his body. Dennis was at home watching TV. All of a sudden, his wife's super expensive vase fell and broke in their bedroom. He ran into the room in time to see a stranger jump out the window and run away. Dennis tried to chase him, but his glasses fogged up because of the cold. That's why he couldn't identify who it was. When the police arrived, they listened to his story and immediately knew he was lying. Dennis made this story up not to tell his wife that he had broken the vase. How did they know this? Anyone who wears glasses knows that they don't fog up when you go from a warm room to the cold outdoors. It's the other way around.
Two couples are about to get married. The hall is full of guests. The bride looks stunning in these long white dresses, and the groom seems to be absolutely happy. All of a sudden, one of the guests noticed there's something wrong with one of the couples. Can you guess what? Mary and Alex have no reflections at all. Look at this decorated mirror behind them. They must be vampires. I wonder how Mary did her makeup. Samantha and Julie wanted to have a peaceful Sunday afternoon. They decided to have a hot air balloon ride and headed to the park. The instructor offered them to choose which one they wanted to ride. A blue one, a green one, or a yellow one? Samantha loves the blue one. No surprise, look at her clothes. And Julie wants to go for the green one. Which girl isn't very attentive? Samantha, the color isn't that important. There are no sandbags. You want to have a safe ride, don't you? In one of the galaxies, there's planet Pink. There are many people, but few animals. Only hens and roosters live there. They can be of 3 different colors: pink, red, and yellow. Andrew went to that planet to see his friends for the weekend, and while he was walking down the street, he saw 3 bird couples in love. No bird can be with the partner of the same color. Can you guess the color of the partner of the red hen? It's the yellow rooster. The red hen can't go out with the red one, and the pink rooster, as you see, is madly in love with the yellow hen. Emily's aunt has bought a bottle of perfume for her niece's birthday. Sadly, she couldn't keep it because Helga, her sister, is terribly allergic to perfumes. Emily brought it back to her aunt, who bought it for $65. The old lady sold it to someone for $80. Then, suddenly, she remembered she had another niece, so she got it back for $70. Sally, the forgotten niece, turned out to be allergic too, so the auntie had to sell it again for $60. Did she make any profit? Yep, she made $5 and grabbed a large latte for them. A genius invented a watch he thought no one else but him could read. A minute on his watch lasts an hour, and an hour lasts a minute. The watch shows the right time twice a day. Can you read it? It's 5:30, just like it is. The genius changed the hand, placing the hour hand instead of the minute hand, and vice versa. Well, that doesn't seem that genius. Somebody was stealing important documents from the office. The guards didn't see anyone, neither did the secretary. The boss decides to install the security cameras to find out who was doing it. They checked the footage carefully and found out who it was. Can you guess? It's the man in the white shirt. When he went out of the office, he had 2 folders in his hand. At the beginning of the day, he had only one. Jamie wanted to know if his wife cheated on him. He wasn't sure if she actually went on that business trip in Australia. He asked her to send a selfie, which she did. When he saw the photo, he knew exactly that his wife was lying to him. How did he guess? Well, it's January in Canada, and the streets are full of snow. How come there's snow in Australia? It's supposed to be summer there. Everybody knows that an old witch lives in this spooky old house. Nobody really wants to meet her. Mary is in this house right now, but she seems to be alone. How come? Who said witches can't have the name Mary? Back in the day, she was young and beautiful too. Jack has a small shop that sells socks. One day, he decided to attract more people and launched an advertisement. Socks for free. Many people came there, but all the customers had to pay, even though the socks were free. Why? Jack would only give the left sock to his customers. They looked nice, and people wanted to buy it. Who needs only one sock after all? A man was driving his car all the way from New York to LA. At the end of the trip, he discovered that one of his car's tires had been punctured from the very beginning. Still, he reached his destination successfully. How is it possible? The punctured tire was a spare one. You're trapped in a room that's slowly getting filled with water coming from a faucet in the wall. There's no windows in the room and the door is sealed shut. You have a mop and a big bucket. So how are you going to get yourself out of this one? Come on, just turn the faucet off. Now it's better. There are 5 girls in the room. Nicole is talking on the phone, Kimberly is reading, Jessica is playing hide and seek, and Melody is tidying up. What's Sarah doing? Sarah is playing hide and seek with Jessica. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6. Which number is missing? A small hint. It's not 7. You have 7 seconds to do the math. Number 8 is missing. The subsequent number of 567 is 568. Sally works as a barista. This morning, she dropped a cup full of coffee. Luckily, her white shirt wasn't stained, but it took a while to clean up the mess. How come? There were coffee beans in the cup. They ended up right under the counter. Imagine you've just entered a pitch-black room. There's an oil lamp, a newspaper, and some kindling wood inside the room. You only have one match. You have to make a tough choice. What to light first? The oil lamp is definitely a good choice, but it's still incorrect. First of all, you'll need to light the match. After the bank had been robbed, the police found the money in the park among cacti. After the police officers arrested all the suspects, they almost immediately figured out who the bank robber was. Can you do the same? This guy on the left has scratches left by cacti all over his body. There are 6 glasses in a row on the table. The first 3 are filled with orange juice, and the other 3 are empty. Your task is to make full and empty glasses alternate by moving just one glass. How can you do it? Take the second glass and pour the juice in the 5th glass. Dennis was at home watching TV. All of a sudden, his wife's super expensive vase fell and broke in their bedroom. He ran into the room in time to see a stranger jump out the window and run away. Dennis tried to chase him, but his glasses fogged up because of the cold. That's why he couldn't identify who it was. When the police arrived, they listened to his story and immediately knew he was lying. The man made the story up to not tell his wife he'd broken the vase. How did they know this? Anyone who wears glasses know they don't fog up when you go from a warm room to the cold outdoors. It's the other way around. Adam Nixon, who didn't really like modern art, rushed into the city gallery and caused millions of dollars worth of damage to several paintings. Yet the manager of the gallery thanked Mr. Nixon for his actions. How come? Adam was a firefighter. The water from his hose damaged several masterpieces, but he still managed to extinguish the fire and saved many more exhibits. Jane was on a hike in Africa when she decided to cross a bridge to admire the view. When she was in the middle of the bridge, she heard something moving behind her. She turned and saw a huge hungry lion waiting for her. She turned to the other side. There were giant snakes. The water to her left was filled with hungry piranhas. Where should she go? She should jump into the lake. Piranhas don't live in lakes, especially in Africa. They live in South America. Look closer. These are just some harmless fish. 2 fathers and 2 sons found 3 oranges. When they shared them, everyone got a whole orange. How come? There were 3 people: grandfather, father, and son. Once upon a time in a spooky forest, there were 7 trolls who were all brothers. They were all born 3 years apart. The youngest troll is 100 years old now. How old is the oldest brother? He's 118. Looking good for that age. A man wakes up in a place he's never been before. He rushes to the exit and sees two doors. When he opens the first door, he sees that the hall is made of magnifying glass. The scorching hot sun fries anyone who enters in no time. Behind the second door, a huge dragon breathing with fire is sleeping. But anyone who enters this hall risks waking it up immediately. How did he escape safely? He needed to wait for dusk. There's no sun, and he can easily get out of that place. A wealthy man, Mr. Johnson, had a precious vase that he valued more than all other belongings. One day, the vase disappeared. The man was miserable. An hour after he discovered it was missing, he got a message. "If you don't come here in 10 minutes with $100,000, your vase will be broken." There was a photo attached to the message. Mr. Johnson realized it was some hotel. In that area, there were 3 of them: the Hero of California, Hummingbird, and Youth Hostel. Where should the man go? Mr. Johnson should hurry to Hummingbird. It's the only hotel that has the 7th floor. Amanda was in the middle of a burning room. The only window was small and too high for the woman to reach. There was also nothing to climb or stand on. There was no rope, neither was there a door. And still, in a matter of seconds, Amanda was outside. How is it possible? There was no door in the room. The woman just ran out through the doorway. A woman is sitting in her cabin in Ohio, but 4 hours later, she gets out of her cabin in Arizona. How did she do it? The woman is a pilot, and the cabin is actually the cockpit of the plane she flies. One night, Kevin broke into a rich house. He knew its owner had just bought a unique diamond. The thief managed to get through one of the trickiest security systems he'd ever seen. And here it was, the diamond. After grabbing the gem, Kevin got out of the house, but when he was already outside the gate, 2 security guards caught him. The guy tried to persuade the men he was only a passerby, but they didn't believe him. They searched Kevin, but found nothing. The guards were puzzled and decided the thief had swallowed the diamond. But X-ray also didn't show anything strange. The security guards had to let Kevin go. The guy got home, and in a few minutes, he had the diamond in his hands. How did he smuggle it? When Kevin broke into the house, he wasn't alone. His parrot was with him. After getting the precious stone, the guy attached it to the parrot's foot, and the bird brought the diamond back home. Paul was a young but very talented chemist. He was going to attend a very important conference where he had to present his latest work. But right before the event, Paul's envious colleague locked the guy in his lab. There was no way he could get out of there on his own. In the middle of the room, there was a test tube with some bright purple liquid inside. There was also a note. "This mixture will blow up in 1 minute. You've got only one chance to neutralize it with one of these ingredients. If you add the correct one, the reaction will stop. Here's the clue you'll need to figure out the needed ingredient. HIJKLMNO. And don't hope your chemical knowledge will help here. Luckily, Paul was very smart and managed to find the right ingredient before the time ran out. Which one was it? It's a row of letters from H to O. It means the needed ingredient is H2O, which is water. 2 identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The car fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed. But they had to find the way to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the men began to push the driver's door, and the other was trying to open the side door. Who has the higher chances of survival? The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure. But the side door in the second car is a sliding one. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape. One person can dig a hole within 1 day. Then, how long will it take 2 people to dig half a hole? There's no such thing as half a hole. Look at these pictures and try to figure out which mirror is magical. It's the one on the right. It shows the man wearing a mustache, but in real life, his face is clean-shaven. Betty was having lunch in her favorite cafe when several police officers came in. They were looking for a criminal who had escaped from the police station the day before. Betty started to look around, examining the visitors. She spotted the criminal even faster than the officers did. Who was it? Look at the barman. He's wearing handcuffs. Daniel wanted to go to the seaside with his friends in the summer, but his father reminded the guy he'd promised to help in his parents' store. When the man saw how upset his son was, he offered him a deal. Daniel had to solve several riddles, and then he'd be free to go and have fun with his friends. So, our customers often ask us to sell them something that's full of holes but can still hold water. What should we offer them? After a while, Daniel found the right answer. What's this mysterious thing? It's a sponge. Daniel's father continued, I'm thinking of introducing a new method of pricing the things we sell. Socks will cost $20. A tie will be $12. You'll have to pay $28 for a sweater. And a coat will cost $16. Based on this pricing method, how much will be a t-shirt? Do you know the answer? Daniel was confused at first, but then he realized the correct answer was $24. His father was going to charge $4 for each letter needed to spell the item of clothing. You're doing really well, Daniel's father told the guy. That's why I'll give you just one more riddle. If you crack it, you can have some rest in the summer. 81 times 9 equals 801. This equation isn't correct. What can you do to make it true? This riddle took Daniel quite a while. And how fast can you solve it? All Daniel had to do was turn the equation upside down. Luckily, the guy managed to figure it out. He got 108 equals 6 times 18. Jason was a courier who regularly delivered food and other stuff to Mrs. Brown. The elderly lady really liked him a lot. She trusted him enough to let the guy use her spare key. The lady kept it under her doormat. When Mrs. Brown was away, Jason would take this key and leave everything he brought inside. One day, the guy came to the woman's house and found out the key wasn't in its usual place. He rang the bell, and a man he'd never seen before opened the door. I'm an electrician, he said. I was fixing some lighting problems in the living room, and the elderly lady is resting now. Jason immediately called the police. Why? The criminal entered the house with the help of the spare key. Paul came back from his lunch break and saw that someone had spilled coffee all over his documents. He cried out, and this attracted his boss's attention. The man decided to figure out who had spoiled Paul's work. He asked his subordinates what they had been doing during their lunch break. Nancy and Liza said they had been together. They went to a cafe to get some coffee. Brian explained that he'd felt unwell. That's why he decided to take a walk in the park. And Sandra said that she'd been talking to her boyfriend on the phone. The boss immediately realized who was lying. Can you figure it out? It was Sandra. There's a sign on the wall that prohibits the employees to use their phones in the office. It means the girl couldn't be speaking with her boyfriend. A wealthy businessman disappeared right from his home one afternoon. His wife called the police. The detective arrived and questioned everyone who was in the house at that time. The cook said that she'd been preparing dinner and hadn't left the kitchen. The maid claimed she had been cleaning the dining room after the businessman and his wife had had lunch. And the wife said that after lunch, she'd been sunbathing and swimming in the pool. The detective immediately realized who was behind the man's disappearance. Do you know the answer? It was the wife. Look outside. It's late fall and there's no water in the swimming pool. Jeffrey was on a plane, ready to have his first parachute jump, when he started to panic. Without putting on his parachute, the guy jumped out of the plane, and still, he remained absolutely unharmed. How is it possible? The plane was still on the ground. There's a large apple tree growing on a cliff. If a powerful wind is blowing towards the land, where will the apples fall? In any case, they will fall down. Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. "Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager," he said. "Our database has crashed, and I need to recheck some information." Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called the hotel security. She said there is a man trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He's not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Joan left the classroom to go to the bathroom, and at that moment, someone must have got inside and stolen her things. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she'd been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice, and James said he'd spent 3 hours trying to solve a math problem and was now exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It was James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? On a beautiful morning, Michael and Christina went on a hike. At some point, they saw a river they had to cross. Both of them needed to get to the other side. However, the boat could only make one trip back and forth and take one of them at a time. Still, both of them managed to get across. How? That's easy. They both went on a hike on the same day, but they weren't together, so they arrived at the river at the same time, but they were on the opposite banks. So after the boat took Christina to the other side of the river, Michael managed to get to the opposite bank too. At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? The last person took the candy that was still in the box. When the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday, then today will be as far from Sunday as the day it was today when the day before yesterday was tomorrow. Which day is it? It's Sunday. Look, the day after tomorrow becomes yesterday on Wednesday. The day before yesterday was tomorrow on Thursday. And Wednesday and Thursday are equally far from Sunday. Susanna was walking down the street when she saw a dog. It looked like the dog had just run away, so she picked it up and started searching for its owner. She walked into a co-working space. There were 3 people there. Susanna knew immediately who the owner was. How did she figure it out? look at the guy in the middle. He's sitting on top of a dog leash. It was Brian's birthday, and he organized a game for his friends. He placed 2 cards, one yellow and one red, inside a box. The rule said that if a person picked the red card, they would win $7,000, but if they picked the yellow card, they would have to pay $700. Nobody knew that Brian had lied. He'd put 2 yellow cards inside the box instead of one red and one yellow. Brian's friend Sandra watched her friends lose the game one by one. But when it was Sandra's turn, she won $7,000. How? When it was her turn, she picked one of the yellow cards, not showing it to anyone. Then, she picked the remaining card, which was also yellow, and showed it to her friends. Brian had to admit that the first card she'd drawn and hidden was red. Otherwise, all his friends would know he was a liar. Way to go, Sandra. Amy has to escape from a high-security room, but to do so, she has to solve a riddle. There are 2 strings in the room, and the only information she has is that each string takes exactly 1 hour to burn. She needs to time exactly 45 minutes with the help of the strings. How can she do it? Amy should light both ends of the first string and one end of the second string. In 30 minutes, the first string will burn completely since it'll burn twice faster with both ends on fire. Then, she should light the second end of the second string. At that time, the second string will have 30 minutes left to burn. But by lighting its other end, Amy will make it burn in 15 minutes. Voila! 45 minutes measured. On January 1st, Devin called the police to report a crime. He said he'd gone to his neighbor's New Year's Eve party the night before. And while he was away, someone broke into his house and stole his laptop and other valuables. When the police asked about the party, Devin said it had been great. There was good food and string lights were shining brightly and beautifully. Devin added that his neighbor could have been the one to steal his things. Maybe he snuck inside the house when Devin was at his place, having fun. The police officer went to interrogate Devin's neighbor, Tom. But as soon as Tom opened the door, the officer knew he wasn't guilty. Devin was lying. How did he understand this? Look at the string lights on the tree. They're missing 3 bulbs. It means they couldn't be working the night before. Devin is lying. Matthew was on an expedition to the South Pole. He had been exploring the area for days when a storm began. Looking for shelter, he managed to find 2 caves. In the first cave, there was a very hungry-looking polar bear. In the second cave, the air was filled with toxic gas. Which cave should he choose? The first cave. Polar bears don't live at the South Pole. Jerry has an apple tree. The number of apples on his tree doubles every week. 30 weeks later, the tree is completely covered in fruit. Can you guess how many weeks the tree will need to become covered in oranges? Oranges don't grow on apple trees, but if I asked you about apples, the answer would be 29 weeks, because, as we know, the number of apples doubles every week. Nobody has ever walked this way. What way is it? The Milky Way. Dave was held in a 150-foot high tower of an ancient castle. In his cell, there was nothing other than a pair of scissors and a 75-foot long rope. Despite this, when the guards came to check on him the next morning, they saw he had managed to escape. How did he do it? He cut the rope in the middle, but rather than cutting it across, he cut it along. Then, he tied both pieces of the rope together and safely got down to the ground. Genius, huh? On the outskirts of the town, there was a haunted house. A group of friends decided to check it out. They went there at night,
But as soon as they got there, one of the friends, John, refused to go inside and tried to stop the others. But they just laughed at him and went inside, leaving him behind. There were several terrible crashing sounds coming from the house. And then everything went still. John never saw his friends again. How did John understand that there was something seriously wrong with the house? John was very attentive. He noticed that there were lots of footprints leading towards the house, but none going away. Rachel was in her office when security called her, saying there was a robber in the building and he was trying to escape. She ran to the elevators to get outside. But two elevators arrived at the same time. In each of them, there was a man that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel understand which elevator is safe to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, his elevator will be going down. So Rachel should take the one going up.
Melissa met her guests who came to her birthday party. Catherine came before Bob, Aaron after Rainan. Bob arrived before Rainan, and Timothy came after Aaron. So, which guest arrived last? Timothy was the last one to come. Now let's say you have two jugs. One of them holds exactly 3 gallons of water and the other holds 5 gallons. With the help of just these two jugs and a fire hose, how can you measure out exactly 4 gallons of water? Fill the 5-gallon jug to the top. Then pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. You now have 2 gallons of water remaining in the 5-gallon jug. Pour out the water from the 3-gallon jug and then pour the 2 gallons from the 5-gallon jug into the 3-gallon one. Finally, fill the 5-gallon jug to the top and pour it into the 3-gallon jug until it's full. There was only enough space left for 1 more gallon in the 3-gallon jug, so you now have exactly 4 gallons in the 5-gallon jug. Look at this image attentively and try to find a mistake. There's no river on the other side of the bridge. Where does it disappear? Now, look at these men very closely. Can you figure out which of them is a fake doctor? The doctor on the left may be wearing casual clothes, but he has his badge on, which probably means he was called to work urgently and didn't have time to change. He's also holding a stethoscope. The doctor in the middle is holding a spoon. But even though it looks suspicious, he has just given a child patient some cough syrup. You can also see a badge on his uniform. As for the man on the right, he's not a doctor. There's no badge on his uniform. And if you examine him more attentively, you'll notice the police uniform under his white coat. He's most likely a police officer undercover. Christy poured herself a full cup of tea and drank half of it. Then she filled the cup with milk. Then she drank half of the drink again. Then she refilled it with milk again and drank the rest of it. Can you figure out if Christy drank more tea or more milk? She drank the same amount of tea and milk. Look, Christy ended up drinking all her tea since the cup was eventually empty. Christy refilled the milk 2 times, and every time it was half a cup of milk, totally a full cup of milk. Deceptor, a famous magician, announced that he could throw a ping-pong ball in such a way that it would go a short distance, come to a complete stop, and go in the opposite direction. He also clarified that he wouldn't bounce the ball off of any object or tie anything to it. And indeed, he managed to perform the trick. How did he do it? He threw the ball straight up into the air. Can you name 4 days of the week that start with the letter T? These days are Tuesday, Thursday, today, and tomorrow. Now, listen up. All statements are true except one. 3 days ago was not Friday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. In 5 days, it's a day off. Yesterday was not Saturday. So the question is, what day of the week is today? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday? It's Thursday. Let's see how we can figure it out. 3 days ago was not Friday. If this statement is true, then today is not Monday. The day after tomorrow will be Saturday. If it's true, then today is Thursday. Tomorrow is not Wednesday. Then today is not Tuesday. It's a day off in 5 days. If this statement was true, today would be Monday or Tuesday. But in this case, the statement contradicts the first and third ones. It must be false. Yesterday was not Saturday. It means that today is not Sunday. Based on all this, we can conclude that today is Thursday. There were 2 plastic jugs filled with water. Can you put all the water into one barrel without using any dividers and still tell which water comes from which jug? You can do it by freezing the water in one or both jugs and then cutting the plastic away, leaving only the ice. After that, you can put the chunks of ice into the barrel. This way, you'll be able to tell which water comes from which jug. A farmer in Florida owns a beautiful pear tree. He supplies fruit to a nearby grocery store. One day, the store owner calls the farmer to check how much fruit is available for him to buy. The farmer knows that the main trunk has 24 branches. Each branch has 12 boughs, and each bough has 6 twigs. Since each twig bears one piece of fruit, how many plums will the farmer be able to sell? Unfortunately, none. At least not from this tree. A pear tree doesn't produce plums. You have 5 jars with pills. Each pill weighs 10 grams, except for contaminated pills contained in one jar. There, each pill weighs 9 grams. You have a scale, but can you tell which jar has the contaminated pills after making just one measurement? To find the contaminated pills, you should follow the following steps. Take out 1 pill from jar number 1, 2 pills from jar number 2, 3 pills from jar number 3, 4 pills from jar number 4, and 5 pills from jar number 5. Put all these 15 pills on the scale. The correct weight should be 150 grams. But since one of the jars has contaminated pills, the weight will definitely be less than 150 grams. If the weight is 149 grams, then jar number 1 has the contaminated pills, because there is only one pill like that. If the weight is 148 grams, then the contaminated pills are in jar number 2. If the weight is 147 grams, the contaminated pills are in jar number 3, and so on.
「 Riddle 3 Riddles 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 3 Riddles
Many, many years ago, one guy was captured by an evil witch who kept him in her house. There was a cellar door in the house, and the witch warned the guy not to open it because he was not ready to see what was behind it. Can you guess what was on the other side of the door that the witch didn't want the guy to see? The guy was actually locked in the cellar, and on the other side of the door was the rest of the house and the outside world. The witch just didn't want the guy to escape. One day, a boss told his employees, "I can fight and beat any man who works here." A new employee, a tall ex-prize fighter, decided to challenge the boss. Interestingly, the boss won the bet, even though he didn't defeat the man. What did the boss do? Not to lose face, he fired the new employee on the spot. This way, when he defeated the boss, he wasn't working in the company anymore. Marty and Jill wanted to copy 3 60-minute tapes. They have 2 tape recorders that will dub the tapes for them, so they can do 2 at a time. It takes 30 minutes for each side to complete. Therefore, in 1 hour, 2 tapes will be completed, and in another hour, the third will be done. Jill says all 3 tapes can be finished in 90 minutes. Can you figure out how it is possible? Let's call the tapes 1, 2, and 3 with sides A and B. In the first 30 minutes, the guys will work with 1A and 2A. In the second 30 minutes, they will record 1B and 3A. Now, tape 1 is completed. Finally, in the last half hour, they will do tape 2B and 3B.